welcome to Genesis Global Radio, the origin of information. And now here's your host, Christine Larkin.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Genesis Global Radio. I'm your host, Christine Larkin. On today's segment, we'll be speaking with Eileen Townsend, nurse, realtor, and author. Today, we'll focus on her book, America's Role in Revelation, which was published in June of 2010. Written from her point of view, the book addresses the role America plays in our world's future. She's here today to share her passionate story. From Houston, Texas, I'd like to welcome Eileen Townsend. Hello, Eileen, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate you allowing me to speak on your show.
Well, it is my pleasure. So tell us about your book and what inspired you to write it.
I've been involved in politics for 40 years, and because of that, I've been able to learn things that we won't normally hear on the media and the normal communication ways that people receive information today. This allowed me to learn things that made me realize that we as Christians cannot allow America to fail. Mm-hmm. And many, many Christians that I have spoken with feel it is not their responsibility to try to stop what is happening to America because the Bible says it's going to happen.
So would you consider yourself religious?
Yes, I do believe in God tremendously, and I've learned to depend on Him and rely on Him, and I know the Bible works. And because of this, I do go to the Bible for reference a lot. Mm-hmm. And one thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is the fact that America was not developed until about around 240 years ago. And it was developed by people that God sent here for freedom of religion mainly and freedom of a right to practice their life in a way that's less controlled. We were then had to fight for those rights, and we won against on tremendous odds because God was backing us. And as long as America followed the biblical principles that we were built upon, we were the winners. We were the top in the world. But once we started falling from that, once we started ignoring biblical beliefs, that is when our nation started to fall.
So are you saying that America is a Catholic or Christian nation?
America was developed to be a safe haven for both Christians and Jews in the end times. And I can say that because I have studied the issues and I have learned from the Bible that different from what you will hear being preached by a lot of preachers, because they just look at the surface of the biblical revelation part and haven't really dealt into some of the other areas of the Bible that refers to the end times. America, God has always offered a safe place for His people throughout history. God is a good daddy, and He takes care of His kids. And even in Revelation, there are areas that refer to the Antichrist not having total control. It says in Daniel 1:41, it talks about there are 3 areas of the world that escape from the control of the Antichrist. In Daniel 11, again, 30, it says that he goes against, when he tries to go against Israel in the end times, that because there's areas that come against him, he backs off from a frontal attack and comes back again and negotiates his way into controlling Israel in the end times. Now, if he had control of the whole world, then he wouldn't have to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well, what explains the expansion of religious freedom in this country? Muslim population that is coming into this country, what do you think they're going to face?
what is happening, if you look at it, is the Christian beliefs are being muzzled and all other beliefs are being touted. And that is because there has been a secret society since the 1800s, the Illuminati, that has been the backbone to bringing in the one world government that is spoken of in the Bible. Mm-hmm. The Illuminati was developed by 13 families toward the, around the 40s. And this group has branched out, and there's other groups that are supporting it that are controlling every aspect of the world development. What they're trying to do is make everybody financially equal. And the only way to get the world control is to dominate the Europe and the American economies and make us like the rest of the world so that they can control everything.
And who are these people?
The Illuminati is a group of individuals that it's biblical. They have satanic worship involved in it. They control the world banks. They control a lot of things. If you want to learn more, the best place I found, at least on the internet, you'd have to go, there's not a lot you can find. You'd have to go to older books in the library. But there's one website called Illuminati News, the Secret Order of the Illuminati, that gives you a lot of in-depth information. Mm-hmm. It's really hard. Wikipedia doesn't even have a whole lot on it.
How old is this group? When did they start to organize?
There's evidence of them from the 1800s. But the modern day controlling aspect of it started off in the 40s, and there was another group formed that's kind of like a branch of it that is called the Bilderbergs. Their first meeting was in May of 1954, and it was actually 39 different people that were organized as a steering committee to try to take over all aspects of world control so that they can control the world. They can have, there won't be any loose ends. Mm-hmm. And they control the world banks. They control most things now. And they really have a lot of influence in government, in radio, TV, everything. So it's really hard to get anything that isn't influenced or isn't tainted by the direction they want to lead us. Mm-hmm. If you want to find out the truth about things, oftentimes you don't want to turn on the normal channels. You need to find information listen, but then go deeper and find out more information. It's like the Bible. If you just surfacely read Revelation and John says the whole world goes against Israel, then that's what you're going to believe. Mm-hmm. But if you, as normal, the Bible is very in-depth. If you go to Daniel, Daniel gives you a lot more of a picture of actual events that John doesn't go into.
What is America's role in Revelation? How do you address that in your book?
America was developed by God to give us a place of safety for his children to be, and also to be a defender and protector of Israel. Mm-hmm. There is, in the Bible, it shows where there are people that are protecting or defending Israel. It's not just this one world government attacking a poor little nation. If that were true, they could just squash it.
Mm-hmm. So you do address that fine point in the book.
One point I would like to make in defense of John, who wrote Revelation. Just think how it would be for a person who rode a donkey, could go 20 miles a day at most, and didn't have any clue as to what we are living through today. God showed him visions of this. And this poor man had to try to write down what he saw in his own understanding of planes, of bombs, of cell phones, of all tanks, everything that he would have seen in a war-type situation, that he had no idea what it was. He also only saw what he knew was the world at that time, which was the other continent. At that time, they didn't know our continent existed. So when he said the whole world, he was referring to the whole world that he knew about. What I believe God expects from us Americans is to stand up and fight. We have a window of opportunity right now to save our nation. If we don't stand up in this election and do what we need to do to keep godly principles that we still have in place and reestablish those that have been taken from us, we may not get the opportunity to totally recover if we wait any longer. The Illuminati is ready to strike and take over the world. And financially, we are putting ourselves into position that they can do that.
All right.
If you want to know, go to us.org. It shows you exactly the financial condition we're in. And it's a lot worse than what you're hearing on TV. Check out all those individual sites, those places. They'll explain a lot to you. But that is a in-depth thing of what financially is happening to our nation. The reason I wrote the book is to help the Christians understand that we cannot allow America to fail. If you have Christian friends that believe that this is God's will, what is happening now, get them this book. It gives biblical references and information to help them understand that we are responsible to save our nation.
Well, thank you, Eileen. I'd like to just ask you one last question. These shows go pretty quick. There's so much we'd like to cover. What do you think of our current president, Barack Obama, on this topic?
Mr. Obama is doing everything he can to aggressively get us to the point where the Illuminati can take over and bring us into usher us into the one world government. And that is exactly what God doesn't want.
Well, thank you very much. If you'd like to reach out to Eileen a little bit more, you can discuss this all with her at 832-723-0061. Two websites, AmericasRoleInRevelation.com, AmericasRoleRevelation.com. Eileen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate you allowing me to speak on your show.
For upcoming segments, log on to www.genesisglobalmedia.com and keep your finger on the pulse of the hottest brands on the planet.